What is good, YouTube? Stu here, aka Spider-Man. So I read the comments, guys, I really do. And a lot of people are asking, why doesn't Walt Disney just buy Spider-Man rights back? Now, the easy answer is they physically cannot do that, but it's quite a complicated answer. So let's break it down. So initially, the rights to Spider-Man in everything were owned by Marvel. And essentially, in a nutshell, what happened was Marvel was in a really bad spot. So they sold off all their characters. That's how Fox ended up owning Deadpool, Fantastic Four, X-Men, etc. And that is how Sony initially bought the rights to Spider-Man. Now, Sony did make a massive mistake, and they really do regret it. So what happened was, up until 2011, Sony actually owned the rights to the merchandise sale for Spider-Man. Now, anyone that knows anything about merchandise sales, children market is the biggest market in the world. So the Spider-Man merchandise sale rights are worth more than anything, more than Captain Marvel, more than Black Widow, more than Avengers EndGame, because each year it is estimated that Marvel makes $1 billion in Spider-Man sales merchandise annually, just in that one thing. So Sony recently did admit they made a massive mistake in selling the merchandise right, because it is estimated that Marvel makes $1 billion a year per merchandise just for Spider-Man. So Marvel Entertainment back in '98 sold all the rights to a bunch of characters off for a cash influx. After the company emerged from bankruptcy, failed 2 years prior, at the same time, Sony Pictures executive at the time was looking to secure big screen rights to Spider-Man, and Sony essentially bought the rights to Spider-Man. Although Sony was offered the rights to nearly every single Marvel character, including Iron Man, Thor, Black Panther, Ant-Man, for $25 million. All them characters for $25 million. It's insane. It really is insane. But based on research, it says that no one cares about any other character other than Spider-Man. So it is interesting that at one point Sony could have owned every single decent character. It's pretty interesting. So why can't Disney just go out and buy Sony Pictures? Well, they can't, because Sony Pictures is one part of Sony global company, which owns Sony PlayStation, Sony TV, Sony Blu-ray. Sony is a product and services company. It is huge. It's not like buying Fox. Fox was just acquiring a bunch of TV stations and requiring, obviously, Fox Entertainment and stuff like that. But Sony is a huge company. It'd be the equivalent of trying to buy Microsoft just because they own Xbox. So it is interesting. So the reason that Disney won't and can't buy the rights back to Spider-Man is because they couldn't physically buy Sony, just because of the fact it would create a monopoly, and then the American government would block it. I mean, they already own over half of Hollywood. I'm really surprised they were allowed to buy Fox Studios, because Disney owns literally everything. Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, now all the Fox properties. They own so much of Hollywood that they aren't in a position to be allowed to buy Sony Pictures if they wanted to. Like I said, it's not easy. It's not just like they're trying to buy Sony. They would have to buy the whole of Sony out. Now, there has been rumors for years that Apple would be buying Sony, but that's been happening for 5 years. I keep hearing certain creators and stuff talking about it, but I don't see any factual evidence of that actually happening, which is very interesting. But it doesn't really benefit Walt Disney to do it, because Walt Disney, like I said, Marvel makes more money from merchandise sales than they would from the movies. So it's in their right mind. This is why I keep saying the MCU deal is not over, because they would both lose money. Disney would lose more money, because Disney essentially gets money from Sony, from toy sales for everything. The Avengers, Spider-Man, Far From Home, Spider-Man. These toy sales happen yearly. It's not once every 2 years. So essentially, it does not make any business sense for Disney to even want to buy Spider-Man. I know that doesn't make sense, but you got to think about it business-wise. It makes more sense for them just to have the merchandise rights. Now, for some reason, a lot of people seem to think this is going to affect Spider-Man PS4 and any sequels. No, because Marvel went to Sony. But this is Sony Games. It's not Sony. It's got nothing to do with Sony Pictures, because this is a video game. That's a different branch. Sony's one big company, and it's got a lot of subdivisions below it. Like I say, Sony is not just pictures. There's Sony video games, PS4, TVs, services. They sell a lot of things. It isn't just a little company. Sony is freaking huge. So that's the main reason why Disney, Marvel will not try to buy the rights to Spider-Man back. As long as Sony keeps smashing out a new movie every 2 to 3 years, they will keep the rights to Spider-Man. The only way Disney could actually get Spider-Man back would be if Sony decided to sell the company to another company. Then what happens in these legal practices is essentially the rights would default back to Walt Disney, but that is never going to happen. So it is interesting why people keep saying, well, why can't Disney throw a lot of money? Well, Disney doesn't really have a lot of money, because you've got to think they've spent close to 100 billion just to buy Fox. It would cost a lot more to buy Sony out, buy Sony PlayStation, the whole franchise, everything. Because Sony wouldn't just sell Sony Pictures. If they were going to sell it, they would sell the whole company, which I don't even think Disney could afford to buy a whole company out. It's not like they're just going to be buying a picture house out. They'll be buying a whole company with a lot of different subdivisions. Sony do so many products that I can't even list them all. So it is very interesting. But like I said, guys, I keep seeing you guys, why doesn't Disney just chuck money at it? They can't. This problem cannot be solved like that. This is why the deal will revert back. I guess that eventually they'll come to a new deal, because Tom Holland and Kevin Feige do not know what they're on about, because they are literally just talking business to you. This is above their pay grade. This is like Bob Iger level, like the head of Disney. This is well above Kevin Feige's head. And obviously Disney has to saturate and has to make the shareholders happy, because Disney really does have to look after the shareholders who fund the company, who own the company. That is why Spider-Man hasn't left the MCU, and even if he has, it will still be connected. Remember the Hulk? The Hulk wasn't MCU, but it is the Hulk. It's still canon. So it's very interesting that a lot of people are like, yeah, Disney's just going to buy him. I see the memes everywhere. I see the comments on the YouTube videos, but they can't buy Sony outright. It is ridiculous. It is so funny, guys. Don't worry. Spider-Man is not going anywhere. Yeah, I know there's no clarification, but literally just watch all the footage back. Listen to all the clip. The fact that Tom Holland is saying that Iron Man is pivotal to Spider-Man 3 tells you it's canon. Do you really think that Disney would sue Sony if they said Iron Man in the movie? No. So that is it, guys. That is the reasons why Walt Disney, Marvel will not attempt to get the rights back. They will not attempt to buy Sony, because it just cannot happen, guys. It is ludicrous that some people think that Disney can just buy everything. Monopoly. There is not allowed monopoly. It's illegal. You cannot create a monopoly. The American government would not allow it. It was hard enough for Disney to buy Fox, because obviously with buying Fox, you got ESPN, you got the Discovery Channel, you got a lot of different companies. They got all the news channels, all the sports channels. Disney already owns a lot of things. Why do you think you're getting Hulu and ESPN with the Disney streaming service? Because they own a lot now. So they cannot physically buy anything else, because it would just get blocked by the government. No company is bigger than the said government in their own country. The government would block it, because monopolies are not allowed. It has to be an open, equal, fair market for every other business to work in. Now, it's already unfair, as I said, because Disney owns Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel. Like literally they own everything already, so they just can't add Sony Pictures to the bag as well. So like always, guys, please like, subscribe and comment at the 100,000 subscriber mark. I will be giving away a PS4 Pro with Spider-Man PS4 or an Xbox One X with Gears of War 5. Just to say thank you to everyone that subscribes to this channel. Whether you're negative or positive in the comment section, everything helps this channel. So let me know down below, guys, what do you think about this whole situation? I just wanted to put a video out there to tell you guys why they cannot buy Sony, because I keep seeing people going, well, why doesn't Disney just buy Sony? It's physically impossible. They already have a monopoly. So there's no chance. So this is just to clarify your guys' comments. I know a lot of people still seem to think that Spider-Man's out of the MCU. He's not technically, because Tom Holland has not said in any Keystone Comic-Con panel, yeah, bro, I'm out. I'm not in MCU anymore. He didn't say that, although a lot of people are being misleading, clickbaiting and stuff like that, because that's not what happened. All he said is he spoke to the creative team. He did not say he spoke to Sony. Creative team. And then he says Spider-Man 3 will be very different. It's going to follow the same storyline from Far From Home into Spider-Man 3. Why do you think the Norman Osborn scene got cut? You know, it got cut because the deal didn't happen. They couldn't get the deal in time before Far From Home came out. So the Norman Osborn scene got cut. And anyway, they can still include that because guess what? Sony owns every Spider-Man villain. Kraven the Hunter, Sinister Six, Osborn, Oscorp, all that kind of stuff. So let me know down below, guys. Are you happy about the Spider-Man stuff? I just wanted to clarify. I understand this video won't get as much traction, but I really think this is a pretty interesting video. So like always, guys, if you want to work with your boy WarStew, just hit me at warstewbusiness@gmail.com, and I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.